pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. We had an executive session at 6:30 to discuss personnel issues. So with that, I'd like to recognize any resident or taxpayer of this area, school district wishing to address the board about title programming or any other matter, concern, or interest properly raised in public session. Go ahead, Mr. Phelps.
Hi, Randy Phelps, cross-country coach here at SARE. Thank you for giving me a few minutes tonight to address the current state of our cross-country program. So I just want to take a minute and read a quick statement that I put together. So, good evening, everyone. Recently, the SARE School Board made a decision to enter into a sports co-op with Athens for sport of cross-country. In my opinion, this decision was made in haste and without the knowledge or the support of the SARE cross-country coaching staff. Our numbers have been down over the past few years, and this was probably inevitable. However, what I have issue with is, did anyone talk to me or Doug Alt, my assistant, regarding numbers for the upcoming season? No. No conversation, no email, no phone call, text, no nothing. While I do support co-ops where needed, I feel quite disrespected and hurt that no one reached out regarding cross-country. I've been coaching cross-country for the past 32 years here at SARE High School. Doug Alt has been my assistant for 20 of those. But yet no one feels the need to ask either of us what our numbers look like for the upcoming season or involve either of us in any discussions. We've asked for input, clarity, transparency through this process. And we've been told that we could give input at the May 9th Athletic Committee meeting, but somehow decisions have been made without the coach's input prior to that meeting. Mr. Handrick informed me on March 31st that the board had made the decision to enter into the co-op with Athens. How can this happen 6 weeks before the meeting where we were to give input? At the May 9th Athletic Committee meeting, there was no discussion, and I was the only coach present. As the AD last year when we made the decision to co-op soccer with Athens, Coach Huey was a major part of the decision and was consulted many times throughout the process. Why is this not happening with cross-country? I know other coaches were contacted and asked about their numbers. The cross-country was not. At this point, we have enough to meet our minimum numbers. I am asking that the board please pause moving forward with the co-op. Fall sports signups begin this week. Please give us until the end of the current school year to see what numbers look like. If we meet our minimum numbers, which would be 4 for either the boys or the girls team, then the program should stay at SARE High School. If we do not meet the minimum number, then let the co-op proceed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phelps. Definitely take that into consideration. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Phelps? Anyone else for the public? Not tonight, Mr. Shaw. So moving forward, I'd like to recommend the board approve a consent agenda, starting with section 1, the last board meeting minutes, operations, for conference requests, school trip, volunteers, flexible instruction days, SARE High School graduation class of 2022, finance, including, the special education comprehensive plan, finance, including transfers, the treasurer's report, tax report, letter of agreement between Bradford County Human Services and SARE School District, a memorandum of understanding between Bradford County Human Services and SARE School District, intergovernmental agreement with BLAST, uncompensated leave, professional employment, Alexandra Gatos, did I pronounce that correctly? Who is with us tonight. Nice meeting you. And that's it for the consent agenda. Need a motion? Got a motion? Second?
Second.
And a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
We'll move on to the budget. We have proposed budget presentation by Mr. Claypool.
Is it okay to turn the lights off so you guys can see?
Sure.
Careful those chairs.
I know it, right?
Don't move too quickly.
Alright, so this is our 22-23 budget presentation. The timeline for the budget is as such. Tonight's May 16th, so we're asking the board to adopt the proposed final budget tonight. If it's approved, we'll have a 30-day review period where it'll be posted on the district website. There will be copies in the business office at the Sarah Public Library for people to review, and then if the public has any comments, we'll accept those. And then June 20th will be the adoption of the final budget. Since we have some new board members this year, I generally say every year, there will be some tweaking of the budget between now and the final, and we usually go through what's been tweaked the night of the final, so that way people are aware. If anybody has any questions at any time, just shout out and let me know. Otherwise, I'll just kind of run through. So here's the budget for next year where we're proposed. You can see about 23.6 million in revenue, 23.6 million in expense, and in addition to our fund balance of roughly $18,799. For this current year that we're in, we're looking to increase the fund balance from about 1.9 million to 2.3 million roughly, give or take. So that's kind of where we are. This screen here kind of shows the fund balance over the last several years. Just to see, and everybody's aware of this, the year I started, February is 16-17 school year. We ended up with a $710,000 fund balance, and now we're projected to be at, roughly 2.3. That's our general fund, our assigned fund, and then non-spendable fund balance, which is basically, with Go Math, we will pay up front for 4 or 5 years, and some of our other curricular things we'll pay up front, and then we'll have those items, that's considered non-spendable, so that's what that means when you see non-spendable. One quick thing that I wanted to mention with this slide, and some of the folks in finance have already heard this, but 16-17, when we had that negative $700,000 balance, we were 491st out of 501 schools in terms of fund balance. So there were basically 10 schools worse than us in the state. Last year, or 1920, which is the last year the information was on the PDE website, we were up to 455 out of 501, so we moved up, 30, 40 spots, which may or may not sound like a big improvement, but when you take it in terms of how much our fund balance has grown, that 2.2 million from the negative 700,000 to 2.2, that puts us 113 out of 501 school districts in the state in that time in terms of growth. So in terms of fund balance growth, we moved, we're in the top quarter of districts in Pennsylvania. So I think that's important to note. And then, that's done while looking at curriculum, updating curriculum, and doing some of those kinds of things. So still movement to be made, but going in the right direction for sure right now. Next slide. Revenues, this just kind of goes through where we're at there. One thing, and one of the reasons why we tend to wait as long as we can to approve our final budget for the year is a lot of our revenue is dependent on the state, and this year the basic education and special education, the governor's budget proposed shows about a 12% increase in those funds. We typically get about 2%, so where those actually fall in the grand scheme of things, we don't know yet, and neither do the statewide organizations, and frankly, the state isn't even talking budget until after the general election, so they're gonna get back into that in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll see where things hash out from there. But, you know, there's a pretty big disparity there. The state comes in at the 2% versus the 12%. We budgeted at around 5, figuring that it would end up somewhere in between. But, you know, if it comes in lower than 5%, then that's $150,000, $200,000 that we'll have to find. If it comes over 5%, that'll be money that we have that'll be extra that we can use for other things. Revenue sources, this particular slide is our real estate, and the real estate will look a little bit weird to people if they compare this year to last year. We're proposing a 2% increase this year in our tax rate, so we are proposing an increase from 55.4 mils to 56.5 mils, so just a hair over a mil. A mill is right around $110,000. The reason for that is essentially, and I've talked to the board about this before, but Lucrino's had appealed their assessed value for their plant and ended up settling with us after some court cases, and you know, we lost about $70,000 to $75,000 a year in tax revenue from Lucrino's. The Best Western did the same thing, and that was a $20,000 to $25,000 loss, so roughly $100,000 just between those two companies in terms of tax loss going into the new year. So a 2% increase basically covers that. One thing though that's increased this year is the property tax relief fund, which is basically the money the state gives to schools to help offset property taxes from the gambling proceeds from the state. Went up this year, so ours increased by $152,000. So that rolls right back into those tax rebates we give when we do homestead, farmstead. So basically with a 2% increase, taxpayers are gonna see a slight decrease in their tax bill. But it's, you know, because of that property tax relief that will be applied. I think currently it's around $340 some, I think each homestead gets, and it'll probably go up, I would guess, $50 with the additional money that's come in. So we'll have to do the calculations here in the next couple of weeks and get that. But so we're proposing a 2% increase, but taxpayers aren't going to really see that increase this year because of the homestead farmstead relief. Next slide is just ESSER funding, and this is just a brief breakdown of the money we've got, when we're planning to spend it in each year. You'll see for 22, 23, and ESSER 3, we've got 1.3 million. For next year and the year following. As we've talked about in the past, the grant we submitted for ESSERs was to pay for salaries and benefits of employees, so that way we can free up local funding and look at some of the things that were on the facility study and you know, make some of those kinds of improvements to our buildings. So we're basically looking at $3 million over the next couple of years that we want to use that with. And then you can see there's learning loss funds set in there, and then all the little specific pots of money that came out after the ESSER things that are aligned with ESSERs that are in there as well that we'll have money for over the next couple of years. Revenue sources, this is just kind of, for each line item, this is just kind of one slice of where the money's being spent. So, you know, regular ed, 8.4, special ed, 3.8, and so forth down through. Other instruction is our 21st century programs that we've been running, so that's a grant-funded program. Student services, instructional staff, admin, 473, and we're budgeting 658 next year, so roughly a $270,000 to $300,000 increase on the charter costs within the district, and it's something that I know that we're trying to address with guidance and in different ways to get kids to come back to either our SOLA or in school, but at this point it's not dropping. Actually, last year or the year we're in, we budgeted roughly 550 for this year, thinking that some numbers would go down a little bit, and they actually did go down a couple of kids. But what happened is the amount of kids that were doing charter that have IEPs went up, and charters can charge like $13,000 for a regular education kid, and they can charge almost $30,000 for a special education kid or kid in special education. So because of the makeup of the students that were attending, it went up compared to last year, and so it's roughly 120, 130 over budget this year. So, and then just the summary, which is basically everything I've been talking about, but just there's our revenue and expense, and we're looking to have a balance increase of roughly 19,000. This year we budgeted at 38, and we're gonna do better than that. We'll probably be in the 400,000 range when it's all said and done. But every year is different. This year we had a lot of teacher vacancies throughout the year, which is bad for education, but good for an education budget. Hopefully we don't have that issue next year, and our budget will hold a bit more true. Any questions?
I have a quick question, Barry.
Sure.
We have to spend the easers money by 2024?
September 24, although I just read today that they're considering extending it out another year and a half for construction projects.
Thank you.
But, yeah, 23, 24 for most everything September. Anything else?
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Claypool?
Good job, Barry.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, I'd like to recommend the board approve the proposed 2022-2023 budget for the Sayre Area School. The proposed budget will be available for review for the next 30 days in the following location: the Sayre Area School District Administration Office and the Sayre Public Library.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the budget? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, and I forgot to say, every year I say this, Sean Madigan does the heavy lifting with the budget, and so, thanks to Sean and the whole administrative team for helping to put that together, but especially Sean. Thank you.
So bills, like to recommend the bills for payment listed in Exhibit H be ratified and approved as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? May I have a roll call, please?
Yes, we'll begin with Mrs. Agnew.
Yes, except I abstain on number 1.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Mr. Hickey.
Yes.
Mr. Metz.
Yes.
Mrs. Riley.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Skirpon.
Yes.
Mr. Katrina.
Yes. So the Athletics and Recreation Committee will meet on June 13th, 2022, beginning at 6:30 in the library here at the junior senior high school. And with that, principals reports. Mrs. Morel.
Mr. Claypool, we couldn't have planned it any better. I have some budgetary news to share with all of you. So for
Better be
Valley.
good news.
It is, lots of free coupons for the district. For Valley Exceptional Athlete Day, I'm pleased to announce that the bus drivers that will be taking our students down to Athens and the bus contractor company of D&J Busing are donating the cost of fuel, and the bus drivers are donating their time, so that field trip will be at no cost to our district, and our staff and students appreciate that. At our last Snyder PTG meeting, I asked the Snyder PTG again to fund all of the costs for our field trip with regard to busing, even though they also give the children an amount towards their field trip, so they have again agreed to graciously do that. So that's a huge cost savings to the district as well. They will receive a bill from Mrs. Katrini at the end of the school year, and they will reimburse that. The sixth grade field trip is being modified. They didn't realize that the pavilion was as far from the trampoline park that they're going to, so they've asked if they could go out to the Litchfield Environmental Center. So the Satterley Creek Environmental Center was very gracious to get the bathrooms open to us at our last minute request, and our cafeteria is gonna help us with some bottled water. I talked with Carissa today at no cost to us, so lots of great things happening there. I received an email from Joe Catrini, Bradford County Conservation District. They came and put on our fourth grade Conservation Day. It was an all-day event in the afternoon outside, and he sent an email and complimented the fourth grade students on their behavior, so that was nice to hear. We also just had a fifth and sixth grade mobile oil learning unit where stations were brought. Kids rotated in fifth and sixth grade throughout those stations. I spoke with a gentleman before he came and explained, you know, if he had any issues with student behavior, to please let me know, and kind of got, oh boy, here we go, it's fifth and sixth grade. And by the time he left, he made sure he sought me out and let me know just how polite and respectful our fifth and sixth graders were as well. It was kind of a last minute pull together, so I thank my fifth and sixth grade science and social studies teachers for helping out with all the videos and the pre-test and post-test that went along with that. So some coupons for Mr. Claypool in the district and some kudos for our kiddos. So thank you, that's all that I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morrell. Mr. Hendrick?
Good evening, everybody. We administered the PSSA test for 7th and 8th graders over the last few weeks. We're now giving the Keystone exams. They will continue through next Tuesday. Our teachers have completed the first step of the PVAS roster verification process. This basically involves going in and verifying the amount of time that students have spent in their classroom. It's the first step in obtaining a student growth score on the state assessment. One of the things that often surprises people is those numbers are based on enrollment. So if you have a student that has poor attendance, that we don't get a break for that. That teacher is still held accountable for that. So we recently hosted the AP English exam. We had 12 students take it this year. It's the most we've had take it in quite a few years. And I mentioned at the curriculum committee meeting, English 12 will be AP and ACE in 22-23. We had a number of student artists and our very own Miss Koopman recognized at the Valley Arts Fest, or Arts for All, excuse me, Arts for All, let me get the title right. If you didn't see that in the paper. And one of our students, Linda Zhang, sold out of all of her works on Saturday. It went over very, very well. She sold paintings and bookmarks. And we had another art student, Jaden Smith, who sold abstract spin art. Also under students, we fielded a team at the recent Bradford County Envirothon. I believe it's the first time we've competed. I talked to Mr. Catrini, Joe Catrini as well. We think it's the first time. We only had a couple weeks to prepare, but we took 5th out of 12 teams. And some of these groups have been preparing for years, so shout out to Nate Pizzella, Garrett Rout, and Sam Claypool, who represented us very well at the event. Student Council, we just had a recess day, or they sponsored a recess day. The event was a way to have some end of the year fun and raise money and supplies for the Animal Care Sanctuary in East Smithfield, so we try to have a give back attitude. Baseball team, great opportunity and great experience yesterday. Traveling to PNC Field in Scranton yesterday. We appreciate the Athens baseball coach, Coach Havens, asking us to play there and doing all the legwork to set everything up and make it happen. And we won 15-3, which was a nice cherry on top. Senior awards are this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Underclassmen awards will be Wednesday, May 25th at 6 p.m., so next Wednesday. This Wednesday and next Wednesday, excuse me. And finally, Drama Camp is coming to Summer Rec this summer. Mrs. Vaughn is organizing and working with Mr. Alt. We are going to have a week-long drama camp this year at Rec. So the kids are excited about that, especially the kids in the musical. They always want another something to do. So Mrs. Vaughn and they put this together. So we're excited for that. That's it for me today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hendrick. Okay. NTCC report, Mr. Cole.
And this is going to be a quickie, so got a thumbs up from Mr. Hickey there. Just, hey, just want to say that the Northern Tier Career Center back on May the 5th, Congressman Fred Keller, Representative Pickett, and Representative Ollett were all at the Career Center for their Teacher Appreciation Week, and they were given nameplates by the students down there that they created in their tool shop down there. And projections for the next school year is well, it will be well over 400 students. Anyway, it'll be well over 400 students. I better leave it at that. Also, 57 students from the HVAC, building trades, welding, and machine tool technology all were at the Penn College student field trip. And Awards Day is May 26th, a week from Thursday, down at Towanda High School, 9:30 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. And I know the kids from Sayre, they'll be graduating at the 1 p.m. ceremony. And that's what I have Northern Tier Career Center wise, Mr. Quattrini.
All right. PSBA report.
I'll continue on. Coming up on the 24th of May, there'll be a webinar on empowering community success with student performance analytics, 11 a.m. to 12 noon. You can register online on the PSBA website. Give you a quick heads up here, even though we haven't gotten through summer yet, the PSBA PASA conference is set for October the 31st through November the 1st. Details to follow. Also, just in from, I think it was last week, Senator Yaw he's co-sponsoring new legislation to ensure that charter school payments are accurate. PSBA is in back of that, as well as Representative Sony. And again, even though it's not relief, again, it's basically more of an audit type thing. So, like I said, hopefully this is something good that's coming out of Harrisburg as far as the charter school reforms are concerned. And also, if anybody hasn't gotten theirs yet, let me know. I can get you a copy of this. So that's the PSBA bulletin for May and June. Mr. Quattrini, I'm done.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Cole. Pleasure to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Good to be back.
Last, Mrs. Agnew.
So there's people online here. Just have to take my mask down. Really didn't need that. Put this back on. Okay, if I blow anybody out of the room. Okay, student services, the ESY services for the special education and related services that are provided to students with disabilities. They're getting ready. It's during the summer, if anybody doesn't know what ESY is, that's the extended school year. So they're getting that ready. I'm not sure where all of them are gonna be, if some of them might be in the school districts or in their academies. The technology, the cybersecurity focuses have continued to increase globally. IU 17 is increasing cybersecurity efforts both internally and to member districts. Two examples of these efforts include increased email security and multi-factor authentication efforts. While we employ several technologies to desensitize email before it makes it to our end users, increasing security awareness and training for our staff on how to spot phishing and malicious email, as well as making it easier to identify email coming from external sources is critical. Second, the implementation of multi-factor authentication has also become essential to protect our users' identities from being compromised. Multi-factor authentication has begun on several IU services to date, and we continue to further implement this tool every day. Some of the executive director updates. They're anticipating 6 new programs, classrooms opening for the 2022-2023 school year, currently under development and finalizing stages. PAIU updates, the Day on the Hill is May 4th, 2022. IUs will be engaging in collective advocacy efforts to support funding for early intervention services and special education. PAIU business protocols, update on committee work, Keystone State Challenge Academy, Fort Indian Town Gap residential program, Harrisburg updates, the school audits. The Attorney General transferred the responsibility of school audits to the PA Department of Education, and of course the PDE does not have the staff to complete the audit, so they don't know where that's gonna end up going. And then they have, talking about accelerated learning and curriculum needs. And that's, that was from April. Our meeting is this Wednesday. Anything else? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any update from Satterley Creek?
No, just, we had, cleanup up there. They've been doing that. Otherwise, no.
All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Agnew. Just like to thank Mrs. Bennett. She's here tonight, and she's here a lot for the board meetings, and I appreciate it, and she always gives us, great treats, and she sends me a report on what the nutrition group is doing, and her and her team are always doing awesome things for our kids here in the cafeteria, and just like to say thank you. Congratulations to the class of 2022. They're almost there, but, I know they worked hard, and congratulate all those kids that are getting ready to graduate. That's all I have, Dr. Delosio.
All right, I just have a few things. As you say that, we're getting ready for graduation. It's hard to believe there's only 12 days, instructional days left, or school days left in the year. So I wanted to share with the board and the community that the IU had reached out to us maybe about 2 months ago. They were working on a grant with DEP, and they wanted to partner with SAYER, and I accepted that partnership and sent them a letter of support, and we received that grant of $22,000 with the IU and DEP, and they'll be working on some projects that our students will benefit from, starting with some summer programming and some geocaching, and we're looking at putting something together to go to Mount Pisgah this summer with our summer programming, so that's exciting. Mrs. Vanderpool, our new math teacher, started today. I believe that's correct. Yep, shaking, okay. And Mr. Waldenberg, our industrial arts teacher, started last Monday, and so those 2 new staff members. So as I share with the board, I just wanted to update that all of the positions for next year have been filled or will be filled by the next board meeting. So the last 2 positions to fill are in the elementary building, and those are in process. We're just checking references before we bring names to the board. So I can proudly say that, before the end of this school year, as of right now, all of the positions that are open for next year have been filled, with the exception of those 2 elementary, but we certainly have people on the docket to have references checked. They've gone through 2 rounds of interviews with us. They were in our classrooms and they taught. Thank you, Mrs. Morrell, for setting those all up for us. So it was nicely done, and the committee did a good job. So we're very excited about that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, does anyone have anything else for the good of the order?
I do, Mr. Petrini. Mr. Zander, correct me if I'm wrong, but the baseball team won small school baseball championship?
Yes, yeah, they clinched that a few weeks ago, yeah.
You brought it up earlier.
Yep.
Can you,
I
can
believe
you
Say that
can you
again?
share that again?
their boys baseball team won the small school league championship.
Yep. NTL champs, small school division.
Small school division, thank you.
Awesome. Thank
And
you
I
very
believe
much.
we're #1 seed in the.
We're right now, as of, last time I looked, which was 4:30, we're number 2. We're,
because we lost to Wyalusing on Friday. Wyalusing's a double A as well, and they're somewhere around 4/100ths of a percentage point ahead of us right now for first place. But we have a game tomorrow night, and it looks like their season's done, so.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Had to work hard to get that game rescheduled for tonight and tomorrow, by the way.
I had one thing I wanted to bring up, associated with, what I understand anyways, the positive behavior program that we have. Specifically, I think at, the Snyder School, that's, been a program that, rewards kids for, their positive behavior. And we had, an activity hour, as I understand it, maybe it was 2 hours, K through 3 and 4 through 6 plan for next week at Snyder School. And that has been, I'll say, canceled, because of, a teacher, a couple teachers coming forward and indicating that they would not participate because they would need coverage for that. And I'd like to bring it forward because I'd like to see our administrative team move forward with that plan. I understand that kids were really looking forward to that, actually saving their positive behavior tickets in planning for that activity hour. And it's really disappointing to see that go away because of hard to understand. I'm struggling to even understand why that needs to go away. So if somebody can provide some additional insight on that, I'd appreciate it. And I guess this person, I'd like to see that continue to move forward as originally planned.
So Donnie, with that, I'll meet with Mrs. Morel and in dialogue with the PBIS team to see if we can get that pulled together in enough time.
Okay, be great.
Thank you, Mr. Skrupon. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?